Welcome back to a new video. So this is my session from Saturday, and it went really well. I ended up going pretty late, so I was live streaming the session, so I didn't have music to listen to since I didn't bring my other phone. But it was quite a nice session. I'm kind of deciding that I'm not really going to be too strict with how the EMOMs are set up. I'm basically going to do the 10 singles and just try to do them quickly. I'm not necessarily worried about truly doing every rep on the minute or whatever, but just trying to work out expeditiously and, just not fully necessarily recovering. I've certainly been taking more time on the clean jerks and on the snatches between sets, but that's pretty logical since it's a more difficult lift to recover from. The 10 singles started at 85, and so I basically was planning on doing 2 singles at each one, but I was feeling pretty good as I was moving up. Basically, once I got to these 90s, I knew I was feeling pretty good. My right leg looks kind of weird, but I think that's just how my hip is. So, I don't know. When I see stuff like that, that's what's kind of nice when I'm doing these commentaries. I can see the idiosyncrasies of how my body moves and maybe be like, do some extra hip mobility and stuff like that. But I think that's probably something lingering. Not that I have any pain or any discomfort, but probably a mobility thing that's lingering from a year or so ago when I strained. I say strained my hip, but I probably did tear a muscle or something because I heard it on a heavy clean where my feet spread out too wide. It was with 176 kilos, so I mean certainly enough to pull a muscle, and had some hip discomfort for quite a while. So I'm sure there is some mobility differences there. But had I missed with 105, came back, made it twice, missed with 110. And really it was the same kind of miss both, where I was just early and then made the adjustment when I came back, made 110, did 115, almost missed out in front, but was able to stabilize it. And then I was really happy with how this 120 looked. I caught it pretty stable. I was able to do an overhead squat. It was very difficult. I was shaking, felt my legs shaking as I was going down, which made me think I was perhaps going to lose it on the way up, but was able to do it, which is, I don't know if that's the most I've done with the snatch plus overhead squat from the floor. I feel like I probably have done a little bit more, but certainly felt really heavy on the day. And, just a really productive, heavy snatch session. I wasn't really necessarily planning on going to 120. It wasn't really necessarily, hard set that I was going to go up to any number. I just wanted to have really low expectations since, it's the start of the 3-week block. But I think on these sessions, I can kind of give myself the flexibility as long as I'm doing multiple sets with the lower weights, that if it feels good, I can push up. But if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world where I don't need to push up. Clean jerks went well too. You'll see how difficult they are. You see I'm not really sweaty right now, but progressively get more sweaty as these sets go on. So I did 2 at 110, 2 at 120 here. Cleans are continuing to feel pretty good. I've adjusted my hands in a similar fashion to when I do block cleans to have them a little bit wider. And I think that's making my turnover feel a little bit better for cleans. It's certainly more difficult to recover from clean jerks when I'm doing these 10 singles like this. So it takes a little bit longer, and I wasn't trying to rush it. My low back was also getting really pumped throughout this session. So I laid down. Once I got to, I think, like 140, I was laying down in between sets just to allow my back to recover just a little bit. It wasn't really impacting the lifts. It was just feeling that pump there. It's 130, so 2 singles here, and then 2 singles at 140. So certainly a lot better than the first EMOM session I did at the beginning of the first 3 weeks or whatever, but I wasn't as strict about the actual EMOM, so I can't really call it that. I should say that the 10 singles a lot better than the first time doing it, and the weights are feeling really good. Like even the 120, pulling it off the ground, I'm confident with it, catching it, I'm getting it back further behind my head, I'm catching it in a more stable position. And like here, I'm doing pretty decent jerks with 140, getting pretty gassed. Like I'm, pretty fatigued at this point with all the snatches I did and all the reps with the clean jerks that I've done. But I'm able to get up to these weights and do them a little bit more consistently. I kind of thought that the first 150 I would be able to clean for sure, but the jerk I would just be too fatigued, and I was pretty close to being right about that. It was the second 150 I did. If I was able to do it twice, I was going to be really motivated, or I should say motivated. I'm always kind of motivated, but I would have been really encouraged about the progress that I'm making. The second one just ran out of gas, and you see there, like, that was certainly, that was it. But I wanted to try it again just to see if it would work. Had to double bounce to clean, and I kind of knew when I was setting up for it that I was pretty gassed for it, but still gave it a try. And since that was the 10th attempt, and kind of did a similar thing with the snatches, like the misses, I didn't count towards the 10 singles. I dropped down to this 110 just to do another rep, just to get another practice of doing the jerk and to end on a make. Could have, in theory, went down to 140, but with clean jerks, it's just so fatiguing. I'm not going to go, and probably would have missed 140 if I went down to it, just because of how fatigued I was. Squatting went well too. Just did triples and went up to 200 for what looks like an easy triple, but it didn't feel too easy, especially on the third rep. It felt like he moved slow, but pretty happy with that, and starting to kind of figure out the structure of this squat day and how it will look. Since in the first 3 weeks I would do front squats, then back squats, so I was doing 2 different kinds of squats, and I think just having the first day of the week being back squat focused, the second squat day of the week being focused on some front squats, and then having this day focused on back squats again, with the first day of the week making sure that I'm getting in some volume. The middle part of the week when I do the front squats, kind of volume, like I did doubles, so for me that's a pretty increased amount of volume, so maybe getting more volume on that day. Then on this day, not necessarily getting a lot of volume, just doing some triples and trying to work up to a heavy triple. And then did 5 sets of 3 snatch pulls. I haven't really done a lot of these in like the last week, and mostly I think it's just because of laziness, because I haven't been doing or I have been having the blocks and stuff out, but wanted to make sure I got some snatch pulls done today, even though my back was super pumped. After this, I just did some back extensions. And my Sunday session, which I didn't record, I ended up just doing in the house. I did some ab wheel, which still continues to thrash my abs. Thankfully, I don't get a lot of crazy DOMs from it, but just doing it is such a good ab exercise. My abs get such a crazy pump. I actually still have abs even at this increased body weight, but my abs look fantastic after I do the ab wheel. So if you want a crazy ab pump, I suppose the ab wheel is the route to go. But did that and some overhead pressing. So a pretty easy Sunday session for me. And then I'll start the next week with the no-foot snatches and all that good stuff, and just kind of play it by feel during the week. There's nothing weird happening schedule-wise this week that I have to account for, at least currently. Hopefully I don't run over any more nails and have to replace tires or anything like that, but should be a pretty normal week as far as life goes, so hopefully that means training goes well. I'll sign up for the competition I'm going to be doing in it's May 17th at some point. Probably relatively soon, just to kind of confirm that, but definitely I'm on a good trajectory of training, and I just want to continue this momentum and not necessarily put heavy pressure on myself on the heavy session of the week, but just move, and if I'm feeling good, to push up, and just to make sure that on the lighter days that I'm not doing too much and I'm still doing something productive, whether it be overhead pressing or the ab wheel, stuff that's going to be beneficial but would just be a bit too cumbersome to do on a normal session. Like I'm not going to do pressing an ab wheel after doing all of that the previous day. So it's nice to kind of have a session where it's light for me relative to what I would normally do. And I think that's one of the reasons why my training's been going well. I'm not breaking myself in half every single day. Still doing something that's difficult, but not something that's like, back squats or heavy snatches or something like that. But I don't really need them. I did all that the previous day. So anywho, that's it for this one. I'll talk to you on the next one, and I hope you have a great day. Peace.